Episode 4 of Sterling Point starts with Connor reeling off all of his plans to turn Sterling Point into a big resort and make a ton of money. Annie's pitch for convincing him otherwise flops entirely, and Connor twists that knife a little deeper with his sister, telling her he can see why Annie didn't get into business school after all. Oof. Now Annie suggests Connor hang around for a week and see how he feels about the place after spending some time here vibing. If he still hates it after that, well, they'll talk about selling. This is a lie, of course, and the girls work together to lead Connor on for as long as possible. Their first port of call, cliff jumping. Meanwhile, Gordon's lawyer, Marjorie Lewis, rings looking for Joe and Ramona. She gets Ellis instead, who's still reeling over Annie kissing Rory. He mopes with Una in the diner, who encourages him to invite Annie out and not let this derail his plans to be the knight in shining armour. Along with this, Ellis also becomes worried over the island's future when he learns from Ramona that the ownership of Sterling Point is hanging in the balance. Just before Annie leaves cliff jumping with the gang, Ellis plucks up the courage to ask her out and she agrees to go to the cinema with him. At the cliffs, Connor and Ramona talk about Una and actually share a pretty nice moment together when he offers some solid advice for her. Annie and Rory, meanwhile, end up getting hot and heavy in the sauna together, while Ellis continues to run his overcharging gig, this time at Denise's expense at Rory's place. Now, Una invites Ramona along to go to the cinema together that night too, but Ramona is concerned. Interestingly, there's extra drama when Denise tells Rory about Ellis's rip-off scheme. Connor is here too, chilling in the hot tub, and the pair talk about Ellis's date with Annie and the possibility of undercutting the girls and selling the island through Denise's connections. When Rory hears, he decides to head off to the cinema gig after all and intercept Ellis. Ellis is still moping, naturally, although Sully offers him some solid advice about opening up and telling Annie how he really feels. Rory isn't so sure that's a good idea, especially given misunderstandings are part and parcel of romantic dramas. Ramona is nervous about meeting Una too, so Connor offers her up some alcohol. Ramona has never actually drunk before, which is weird because she actually smokes weed, so that's definitely not going to be a total disaster. Now as for Annie, she eventually meets with Ellis and the pair have a really good time together. There's definitely chemistry here crackling between them, as Ellis wants to hold Annie's hand and struggles to do so while they get their portraits done. It's a lovely moment, and this time we get the roles reversed as Rory sees them together and grows jealous. Ramona does end up drunk that night, but on the way to the toilet, she ends up seeing Una and her date Stacey Mallory. Yep, she's back. Ramona immediately throws her friend under the bus, telling Stacey she's just the latest in a long line of casual hookups and not anything special. When Stacey leaves, Una confronts her friend and tells Ramona she's misread the situation between them. Apparently the thigh touching and the almost kiss were just fragments of her imagination. At the same time, Rory shows up with his idiot pal Lincoln and spoils Ellis's date with Annie. When Ellis leaves, Annie follows where they find a drunk Ramona. Joe is not happy when they bring her home and rips into Annie for not looking after Ramona. He also blurts out this is exactly what Gordon was afraid of. As we soon learn in a massive bombshell, Annie's mum didn't die of cancer after all, but actually died giving birth to Ramona. Furthermore, Joe was there when it happened. Episode 5 of Sterling Point picks up with Ramona smoking weed and reflecting on her night. After the drama involving Una, she finds an old Polaroid of the two and it cuts deep. Now Annie speaks to Connor and deliberates over whether to tell Ramona the truth about how their mum died. Eventually Annie does tell her, partly thanks to Connor's big mouth, but it only causes Ramona to spiral further. She blames herself and eventually decides to take a long and dreamless sleep for 5 to 10 years. Meanwhile, Connor goes to work setting up party preparations. Rory rocks up with t-shirts for the big event, but despite being twins, Connor is determined to have the lion's share of the spotlight. The more important looming question here though is the fate of the island, especially with the twins turning 18 and now legally taking ownership of Sterling Point alongside Ramona. Elsewhere, resident moper Ellis finds an envelope stuffed inside the filing cabinet addressed to Joe. Within this, it details taking on guardianship duties for Ramona. Ellis is obviously shocked when he sees this and starts to realise that Joe might actually be Ramona's dad. Rory shows to see Annie next, who's struggling to get through to Ramona. She's relegated to her room, while Una is caught in the middle when her useless mum refuses to come back for the talent show, which doesn't sit well with Maple. In fact, Maple takes part in some anger management with Ramona, smashing plates and getting their frustration out. As they bond, Ramona opens up about how frustrated and sad she's feeling, while Maple has clearly underestimated how difficult it's been for Una to play the role of mum. Both of these girls don't really have a mother, but for very different reasons. Meanwhile, Ellis and Annie head out for a canoe ride together. They confide in one another about what they found out, with Ellis concerned because of Joe's connection with Ramona. Ellis finds Goldie's mixtape in Joe's car and decides to give it a listen for clues. Within this, he overhears Annie's mum talking about the baby and how she can't wait for them all to be a family. Ellis listens to the whole tape and it does seem like Goldie and Joe were madly in love. In the morning, birthday celebrations get underway, with Little Gem Cafe turned into the perfect place for Connor's ego-stroking party. And he even shuns Sully too that night when they show to help him out. Now Ellis gets Annie a birthday present, a really fun drawing of them together on the canoe, after souring the mood slightly about the contents of Goldie's mixtape. Naturally, Rory shows to spoil the party and destroys the entire vibe, explaining how he's got her tickets to go off to a big party together. Looks like Ellis is left out once again. So Annie heads off to a nightclub with Rory, where the pair run into a couple of friends from school. It's a bit awkward before Rory brings up it's Annie's birthday and they all start drinking together. Back at the cafe, Connor is bummed when he learns Annie has left and won't be here with him. Denise shows up and Connor vents about how he's annoyed he actually cares about his sister. In his state, Denise hands over an offer to sell the island, encouraging him to seriously consider doing it. And meanwhile, Ramona apologises to Una for how she behaved last episode. She wants things to go back to how they were, but right now it's tough for her. Given she now knows Ramona has feelings for her, the pair do end up eventually kissing. When Annie gets drunk and winds up sleeping with Rory, Connor tries to enjoy the rest of his birthday on his own. So Connor's introduction in these past few episodes has been the perfect chaos merchant and exactly what this show needed to liven up a bit. While episode 4 leaned into more of the teen angst with Rory and Ellis switching roles, episode 5 meanwhile then brings it back to business as usual. After the huge bombshell reveal at the end of episode 4, which I'd say is probably the best part of this show so far, most of this 5th chapter sees the various characters talking through their issues, and with Ramona by the end actually being fine with everything. More pressing though is the fact Annie ends up sleeping with Rory, which is not going to go down well with Ellis if he finds out. But hey, as we all know guys, nice guys finish last. However, the real issue with Sterling Point comes from the sheer lack of drama or tension. I mentioned before that Ramona is absolutely fine with everything by the end, but the situation surrounding the island has kind of been put on the back burner, only to pop up when the writers want to try and drum up some tension, like when Denise gives that offer to sell the island to Connor. While the individual character drama isn't anywhere near strong enough to actually justify the length of these episodes. Now we see echoes of Annie's past here at the club, and a few nice bits involving Connor genuinely caring about his sister, but outside of that, Sterling Point lacks the panache or drama to really stand out in this genre. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.